Hello, everyone. Welcome into what is officially season 2 of the Four Quarters podcast, powered by the new Four Quarters Media. I'm your host, Tyler Bennett. It's the first time we have put video to anything on the podcast, so the first couple are going to be choppy. Bear with me. I lose an arm, it looks like, in part 2 of episode 1, but it's fun. It's been good. So we're back on the podcast. We were gone for 3 weeks, kind of R&R, if you will. Everybody's trying to figure out what to do in quarantine and self-isolation, but we're back under a new name, same podcast name, ready to roll. We're booked with guests all the way through to middle of July already, so we're going to be pumping them out. High-quality interviews with guests, players, coaches from coast to coast, so it's going to be a ton of fun. Happy you're here for the ride. Season 2 begins today. 3 parts, 3 interviews. It's a big day. This is part 1. We're going to have Niagara head coach Clair Rao, women's basketball head coach, the first repeat guest on the show. Joined us back on April 27th. We took a bit of a different path this time around, breaking down the OCAA championship between Fanshawe and St. Clair. Fanshawe won their second straight gold medal with a 13-point win over the Saints, 93-80. And Chris showed why he's one of the top young minds in the game with the way he broke down that game. It was a ton of fun. Broke it down start to finish. So you'll get that in its entirety. Part 2 is with former Camosun Chargers guard Dylan Marsden. And then part 3 is with Prairie College Pilots men's and women's basketball head coach Harrison Corrales. You can catch those after you watch this one in the same playlist on YouTube. It's weird to say YouTube. Never had it on here before. It's fun. But Chris and I, like I said, we broke down the OCAA Finals championship game this year, Fanshawe St. Clair. Really back and forth game. St. Clair came out first half really strong, played about as well as they could, and only up 10. Left the door open for Fanshawe, and the second half is all about the Falcons, and they come away with their second straight conference gold medal. It's a shame they didn't go to nationals this year. Thought they could have done some damage with the veterans they had with Chu Angu, Natalie Warren, and Michaela Wright. But hindsight's always 20/20. You have to wonder what could have been. But Chris and I broke down the game start to finish. Now bear with us too when you go through it. When you share a screen on Zoom, it's not always a smooth transition. The game is a bit choppy, but you can pick up what we're trying to say, and we try to slow it down and stop at certain parts wherever Chris breaks down a few plays here and there. So it is a bit rough, admittedly, but bear with us. It's the best we had at the time, and you still get the gist of it. You still see what we're talking about, and it's a great discussion. Like I said, broke it down start to finish. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that, and then once you're done, head on over to watch part 2 and part 3 with Dylan Marsden and Harrison Corrales. But with that in mind, let's jump right into my chat with Clair Rao of the Niagara College Knights women's basketball program. We'll be back when it's all done to wrap it up and tee up parts 2 and 3. Enjoy. All right, so we're now joined by Niagara College Knights women's basketball head coach Clair Rao. Chris, welcome back. You are the first repeat guest of the show, one of the more popular ones from the first season as well. How are things with you?
Oh, that's good to hear. Pretty cool. I'm happy to be back, and I'm doing good. How are you, Tyler?
Things are good, all things considered. Things are starting to open up, which is good. Golf courses haven't been out yet. Want to. Haven't been able to, so I just wear golf shirts inside to kind of pretend a little bit. But otherwise, doing all right. How have things been since we talked last time?
Good. Some days the swing's there, some days it's not. So it's been up and down on the golf course, but no, things have been good. Been obviously taking part watching the Canadian Coaches Clinic that Chris King and Gold Ticket Sports guys and Chris Oliver have been putting on with Basketball Emergence. So that was cool. I got to actually do one with my dad, so that was pretty cool. That was a lot of work we put into it, and then. Working with the Nighthawks, there's been a lot of preparation with that, and obviously just keeping tabs on our girls and making sure everybody's okay and healthy and feeling okay. And we're just trying to keep in touch as much as we can.
How you mentioned the Nighthawks? How excited are you to share the sideline with your dad, with the Nighthawks on that staff?
Well, really excited. I was sitting on the bench with him since I was 4, right? Because he was coaching high school here, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I contributed much till I was about 10. Then I started to contribute a little bit more, and super excited. He's a guy I've watched more basketball with than anybody else, and
Mm-hmm.
that's going to be hard to beat. All the Big Ten games and CBS games we watched on the couch, and high school games we got to see him. I got to watch with him and
Mm-hmm.
sit and help him. But being an official capacity, it's going to be really cool.
I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. Then you add in Charles Kissy as well, so you've got your dad and him with the Brock connection and all the Canadian guys coming through. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun to watch, and I can only imagine being a father-son combo coaching together. I think that's gonna be interesting. I think it'll be a lot of fun for you guys, and hopefully you guys don't go at each other too much with different disagreements or whatever, and have a little fun with it at the same time.
I mean, the good thing is probably that neither one of us are the deciders. That's Charles' department. So
Mm-hmm.
we get to have our opinions and, be passionate about them and
Yep.
understand them. But at the same time, I enjoy being an assistant coach because you get to say everything you want to say behind closed doors. And as long as you walk out of that door and you follow the company line and you teach whatever the head coach wants you to teach the best of your capability, then you're going to be fine. So, we'll get our marching orders and we'll follow them, but we'll be able to voice what we need to voice in private. And
Mm-hmm.
I think we've been doing a lot. We've been doing meetings once or twice a week and
Okay.
talking a lot about our players in the league and trying to figure stuff out and how it fits. And
Mm-hmm.
the league's working on some contingency plans, so dealing with that. And
Yep.
I'm excited. Very optimistic that there will be some kind of year, and I'm glad the league's looking towards that because I think it's good for Canadian basketball and basketball fans in general to be able to watch some high quality professional basketball.
Puts a big spotlight on U Sports basketball too, and I think for you, a little bit excited to get back to the men's game a bit, or like you said before, when you got hired at Niagara, basketball's basketball. If you can coach, you can coach. I mean, you a little excited to get back to the men's side of it, or is that at the end of the day just basketball?
Basketball, man. That's the company line. I love coaching. I love working with young men and women, or in this case, professionals.
Mm-hmm.
Because I got my goals to try and help them get better.
Mm-hmm.
And if their goals to get better and win games, we're gonna get along. It doesn't matter who you are, where you come from.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very upfront about what my motives are. I want to, be my best for them so
Mm-hmm.
that they can have success, because if they have success, it's good for all of us.
That's true.
So, very upfront about that and not worried about that. And, people all levels, both in all genders, that's what they want if they care about basketball.
Yeah. Like you said, basketball is basketball. Everybody speaks the same language when it comes to the game. So wish you guys all the best as the season hopefully gets underway. I don't know. Like you said, they've got some plans in place, and we've seen a few rumors trickle out of what could happen. So hopefully there's some sort of CEBL season to kind of give us some sense of normalcy. I don't know when we're going to have hockey, NBA, football is going to happen. I don't know. So any little glimmer of professional sport would be more than welcomed by anybody at this point.
I think what I'm allowed to say is that the league's working on things, and they're keeping the safety of players and coaches and referees and everyone involved in mind, and that they want to put a good product out on the floor. So, I think the league's moving in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
I think they have some good plans, and not that I'm in on those conversations. I just I'm the bottom rung, so I hear some trickle downs of the reports. But I'm excited for whatever they have in store, and we'll be ready as a coaching staff to help prepare our players for whatever format it is.
Yeah, I think safety's the main thing for sure. Obviously, first above all else. So we'll see what happens when the plans come out. Everybody will be more than ready to watch for sure, because we'll be so bored by the time it comes around. Everybody's going to watch.
Those eyeballs in basketball. Let's do it.
That's what we want. That's what we're going to kind of do in this one too. It's going to be a little bit different. We're going to look at the OCAA women's final from this year, the Fanshawe St. Clair game, which was back and forth from start to finish. A lot of ups and downs, comebacks in the second half. Like Fanshawe, second straight gold medal for Fanshawe over St. Clair too. So salt in the wound for the Saints, if you will, 2 years in a row. We're going to kind of bring it up. We're just going to kind of go start to finish. We're going to add in, I'm going to share the screen. We're going to bring up the full game and then kind of get your thoughts on it as we go. See what happens. See how that everything kind of unfolded and kind of get your perspective on the game and have a little bit of discussion. See what happens.
It's great that you want a guy who's not even close to this game's perspective on it, but we'll do our best and
do what we can.
Yeah,
so, I mean, you've seen these two teams. You've played them each twice in the regular season. Didn't go in your favor, obviously. Played a close game against Fanshawe in the second half of the year. How tough is it, just kind of from your opinion before we get into it, how tough is it to prepare for these two teams with kind of the depth that they have and the talent?
Well, I think I'm going to, we were very fortunate this year to play the top 4 finishing teams. Mm-hmm. And I just want to say that, Fanshawe, St. Clair, and Humber are extremely difficult to prepare for. Mm-hmm. And they'll keep you up at night because they're well coached. Algonquin's very well coached too. Yep. I had less time to stay up at night worrying about them because they're on the other side. But I do believe that the quality of, the top 3 finishing teams are as good as anyone in the country. Mm-hmm. They play different styles, but like you look at Fanshawe, like 3 fifth years, and you listen to them on your podcast, they're obviously very excited about their youth and their bench, who mm-hmm. they see as really talented and who the league hasn't really seen yet. But I'm sure they're good because we're waiting on it, right? So they're going to reload next year, and then Sinclair Coach Kiss does a great job. They play a very fast style. They shot the most threes in the league this year. They averaged 29 threes a game, and we'll see a lot more than 29 in this game.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That they take. But they definitely play a style, and the Twins are just a handful. Like
yep.
Like these are tough teams, and Humber easily could have been here. Great for Sinclair. 1 point win in the semis. Mm-hmm. But all these teams they're experienced, athletic, well coached, and skilled. So that makes it tough, right? Pick your poison. How they want to beat you, they'll figure out a way.
And I've said it, I don't know how many times, experience wins. And you mentioned Fanshawe's 3 fifth years. Like, you can't replace that experience. Mm-hmm. Like, it really pushes them, I think, over the edge, in my opinion. Just gives them that extra edge, even when, like, you'll see as this game goes on, when they were down by 10 at halftime. Mm-hmm. And they just, I don't know what switch they flipped at halftime, and then it was over from there. But we'll jump right in.
Yeah, keep going. We'll keep talking. I think a thing to keep an eye on while we're watching it is that this is a tough environment for Fanshawe to be in, even though you mm-hmm. see a spattering of red shirts. Like, this is going to be hard. Like, it's not going to be easy. This is a loud gym. At the end of the game, the post-game guy says it's the loudest gym he's ever been in. Maybe. But if you watch Fanshawe throughout the game, even when things are going awful, there's mm-hmm. lots of contact and togetherness, and you can see them picking each other up after bad plays. Lots of like high fives, and I call it the Tim Duncan effect, pats on the back, like just like we're here together, putting my hands on my teammate to let them know that I'm right beside them, like, mm-hmm. and that's just the cost of entry to be in a game like this. So, we're watching this, we're going to see 2 really different approaches on offense. So right now you can see this cross screen going on right here. Mm-hmm. They're trying to get Warren in the high post, and you can see how keyed in Sinclair is on Warren early.
Yep.
Just a lot of stuff runs through her. She likes to play 17 feet away from the hoop, but she, mm-hmm. This year she shot 50, 49, and 92, which are in crazy splits.
Especially for a forward.
Yeah, for people who don't know, that's 50 from the floor, 49 from 3, and 92 from the free throw line, which is crazy. she's probably a top center in our league.
Yep.
I would say. Like I thought she was, CJ from Humber was really good too, and Warren was close right there. Like you see their teams have success.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see how these, like, you're going to see Fanshawe set a bunch of cross screens, stand Warren around the high post area and run people off her. And, it's a different way of playing. Some would say a more traditional way of playing. I know that they don't have a true post, but they're working her out of the high post a lot because they like that. I think they like that matchup with Tam out there for Sinclair.
Yep.
So I think that was part of the reason Coach Carrier and the staff were doing that. And then you look at Sinclair, what they're running, like, what's it been? I think they've taken two
or three threes already.
Yeah, so they're running a 5-out offense. It's not like the Bucks offense though. It's closer to the Villanova women's offense. So I think it's Coach Pereira. He recently retired. They run an offense called the no mistake offense. So 5-out, bunch of cuts. And if you watch their early, they reject a lot of screens. So it's pass, screen away. And instead of coming off the screen, they back cut. And you're going to see it cause a bunch of confusion early for a bunch of open threes. The person popping back who was supposed to set the screen is going to just drill a bunch of shots. I think when Bazzi gets into the game, I think she hits 2 like that, 1 or 2 like that. And I think the Kucheras, is it Kuchera or Kusera?
Kusera, I believe.
Yeah, the Kusera sisters, I think they hit a bunch early like that. And then Fanshawe makes an adjustment. We'll talk about when it comes up. But, like this is a game, there's like 3 or 4 really important adjustments. Achu, how am I saying it?
Chua Angu? Angu?
Hey, one more time.
I just call her Chu. I just go by first name because it's easier to say Chu and then instead of my last name.
Yeah, Chu is, I think she's the best player in the country.
Yeah.
You said we did give Fanshawe a little bit of a close game. They're playing people and they're in a 1-3-1 that they haven't showed really since. But it's a 4-point game late and they give Chu the ball and it's like she's gonna go get you 6 points.
Yep.
Just kill you, like, and there's not a lot of players that can do that to your level. So that's the difference in a lot of things is that she's just gonna go get you a bucket. When you need it, and that she does that a couple times this game where she just hits huge buckets and rips your heart out.
Yep. And the St. Clair's kind of done a good, just minus that shot there, but they kind of do a good job of getting the ball out of Chu's hands and out of Natalie's hands and try and force the others to hurt them.
Yeah.
And
if you watch closely, they're actually denying Chu all over the court. Maybe not hard enough, but they're trying to keep the ball over hand for sure, and for good reason. She'll just kill you, and she does in this game. She ends up with 30.
Yeah, but, she's quick too, so she finds her way into the paint. She draws the contact. I mean, she hit 12 of 14 from the free throw line. She did all her damage or most of it from the line.
Yeah,
so that just shows how quick she is and how she can kind of get by that defense, and whatever you throw at her, she's going to find a way around it.
Now, here's kind of the adjustment that Fanshawe went to. And, you hope that Sinclair shoots to their average. Obviously, they did in the first half. You hear Harry talk about it in the post-game press conference a little bit or in his interview. They go to this 2-3 zone, which is, I think the idea is to keep Warren from guarding a smaller, quicker player so that they can keep her out of there. But we'll watch when the Kusera sisters get going. There's a couple corner threes. You'll see them on the near side corner where they have a real hard time bumping back down to the corner. So in a 2-3 zone, if the bottom row takes the wing, and there's a player in the corner, what Fanshawe's trying to do is they're trying to bring the guard over and bump the side player, like the bottom row player, down to the corner.
Yep.
And they're just late on it 4 or 5 times.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of the reason what they hit 13 threes in the first. No, they hit 11 threes in the first half.
Yep.
And that's part of the reason that they hit those threes, right? Is just they were a little late on that bump back. Really late in this half, they put Chu down there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the more athletic players to just try and figure out how to do it and still give up another shot from the corner.
Yep.
So, you know, the fact that they don't go back to it in the second half, I think, is a real key for them to come back in this game.
I never realized how high Jana's shot was until watching this game back. How hard is it to block or defend a shot like hers with that high release, the high arc? Like how hard is that?
It's really hard, man. I think, you know, but I'm the genius who dared her to shoot it when we play them. So I think you're talking to the wrong guy. But like she gets great lift on the ball. Like in our program we call it lift, and she's got good lines. So she's gonna make shots a lot of times just because she gets a good roll.
Yeah.
You know, that high arc is helpful. I mean, I don't know if you've ever been lucky enough to watch Stephen Curry play in person.
Not in person.
So I got to see him when he was at Davidson.
Okay.
At Ford Field.
Mm-hmm.
And like he shot the ball and it felt like it touched the rafters of the football stadium.
Mm-hmm.
And in a lot of ways, the shot, I'm not saying it's Stephen Curry-like, because maybe it's not as consistent as the greatest shooter in NBA history.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, it definitely has that arc on it. And, you know, from a physics standpoint, something we talk about in shooting is that if the ball's coming in on a straight down angle,
mm-hmm.
it has more of a chance to go in because the rim is wider to it. So, like, if you took that rim off and stood over it, you can fit 2 basketballs in it. But as you back away flatter to it or you put it eye level,
mm-hmm.
it becomes smaller and smaller. So you want that ball getting up and down, you know.
Okay.
So it has more of a chance to fall in.
Interesting. Like I think like right now too, like with this, like you mentioned they're shooting, like they don't shoot overly well from 3 on average for the year. First quarter, first half was really kind of an anomaly for them. Like Bazzi hits one here. That was their 4th straight 3. Jana Kusera hit 3 straight beforehand. And for Fanshawe, all of a sudden you're down 12 points. And the place is loud. Like they had like 1,400 people in that gym. And that's a big gym. That's loud.
I mean, yeah, this was a big call.
Mm-hmm.
This off the ball unsporting, you know. Definitely a lot of things didn't go Fanshawe's way the first half, with some of the calls and with just the way that they were shooting. Bazzi, you know, she just doesn't care. And I don't mean that about basketball. Like, she will shoot the ball every time she's open and live with the result. She
Mm-hmm.
doesn't care about the result. You'll see it in this game. Like, she'll put it up there. She's not scared. She's a good player. You know, I think their best lineup actually was that lineup that was just on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, their most effective offensive lineup. I don't know if Coach Kiss would consider it their best lineup, but, you know, when they put, I think it's Tompkins, Bazzi, the sisters, and who's the other, and the name starts with a U.
Anna Ulikny?
Yeah, that's probably their best offensive lineup.
Mm-hmm.
Especially the way they're playing. You know, if you have Tam out there, who's a big physical player who's going to battle with Warren, you know, you don't really have to worry about her outside. So if she's on the perimeter, you know, that's probably a win for Fanshawe,
mm-hmm.
especially the way they were using her. I have no problem talking about this about Warren now that she's out of the league. But if it were me, I would try and put her in ball screens like every possession.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if we as Niagara, I don't know if that was our strength this year.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just because of our youth and, you know, like, great, we're gonna put her in a ball screen, but that means, you know, Wright or Jordan or someone's gonna bully our ball handler, and it probably wasn't an overall win for us. But like right here, they put her in a ball screen, and look, they're gonna get an open closeout.
Yep.
Right. So they create. You're gonna create more space, making her sink in, making her move side to side. Like, I just think that's an effective way to guard her, and you'll see in the second half, Fanshawe moved an adjustment, and they'll just put her on the worst shooter on the floor
Mm-hmm.
and just say guard her. And Warren does a really good job of faking like she's guarding out on the perimeter. She kind of is, but she kind of isn't. And she does do a good job on some switches, on some closeouts, but it's probably wasn't her strength as a player.
No.
So, obviously the game plan was working for St. Clair because they come out and they kick butt in the first half. Maybe you try and put Warren in some ball screens, but this is what I think, like that possession right there, a little post-up possession, I think that's what scared St. Clair a lot into playing bigger and trying to be more physical. And I don't know if that was necessarily the way to play the whole game.
No.
In Fanshawe. But once again, they got some, they had some rotten luck too, because they shot the ball not well in the second half.
No. Natalie, her shooting ability, I think, is something that's so overlooked. Like you said off the top, 50, 49, 92. And that mid-range that she just hit looked effortless. It looked too easy for her.
Yeah.
It's so smooth. And like you said, I think a lot of people are scared of that because she does shoot so well, and it would have been good to see her shoot more threes. I think that would have been maybe better for her, maybe better for Fanshawe. But I guess hindsight's 20/20. But yeah, probably one of the more underrated shooters.
Yeah,
nobody talks about.
I laugh. This is one of my favorite bizarre theories. It's a Mark Titus theory. I don't know if you're aware of who he is. He's a podcast.
Clark Trillian?
Yeah.
Yep.
So he's a funny guy, but he's and he played at Ohio State, for those of you who didn't know, and he was a guy at the end of the bench who shot the ball when he went in the last minute of the fourth quarter. But he said you should never end a game above 38% from three, because you should shoot until you're under 38%. You should just keep shooting. Right? So
it's true.
It's a funny point, but it makes sense if you think about it from the player's perspective. And it might have been a theory to use with Warren, but you see that move by Shu right there, not a lot of players doing that, splitting a triple team off the drive, and you'll watch Sinclair, they're giving her the honest treatment. They're really helping off strong side corners.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing whatever they can to put bodies in front of her. And then this is, Sinclair starts to pick apart this zone. They put one of the Kuchera sisters in the high post, and she just goes to work, and they get a couple kick out great shots. They get, I think she scores 4 points in the middle of that zone.
Mm-hmm.
One off a layup, one off a jumper.
Yep.
So it's really, it's tough, when you are able to put a good decision maker in there,
mm-hmm.
and you're not worried about the size, that's a tough matchup for Warren. So that's the part that they did really well out of this, is they went, Fanshawe is trying to keep Warren from guarding a quicker, more athletic player on the perimeter, and they're just okay, now she's gonna have to guard a quicker, more athletic player
mm-hmm.
in the middle of the zone. So it was a great move by Coach Kiss, and I think it showed that Coach Carrier didn't go back to it after this quarter, because it was, they really attacked it well. So kudos to Coach Kiss for having this team ready.
I think you see a lot of adjustments from both coaches. I think, like you said, Kiss put a quicker defender on Warren to try and exploit that, and then you see in the second half or even the second quarter where Coach Carrier goes away from that and doesn't put her in the middle to try and get her back. So I think it was an interesting game to watch from a coaching perspective too, because you see a lot of those little adjustments that you've pointed out already that both sides are making to try and either stop the other team's momentum or gain some on their side. There's a lot of those little tweaks that you probably wouldn't notice on the first watch, but when you look back a second time, or you kind of see those little things, okay, you kind of pick up on this a little more. I think there's an interesting game to watch from a coaching perspective.
Just a quick thing on adjustments. I think this is interesting. It's a conversation I've had with my dad a lot, is that, also great side of out of bounds play. We stole that at one point this year. We were on the same one, not for the same success, but it's a great little sideline out of bounds play that Coach Carrier runs, and they run their sideline and their baseline stuff really well. But just talking about adjustments, if you think about it, a coach like me, who has had similar experiences to me, well, without sitting on the bench for a high school team for 18 years of their life, 19 actually, I went 12B, but I've really only coached, provincial team and university or college.
Yep.
So most of our scouting and game planning is done before.
Yeah.
And if that's the environment you work in and learn in, it becomes tough to make adjustments because you've done so much work on the plan. You think you believe the plan's going to work. And I think a lot of young coaches struggle with making adjustments. I think someone was talking about I think it was Mike McKay, who's a really good coach involved with Canada basketball.
Yep.
A brilliant guy. And he was talking about a plan B, having a plan B. And I think that just, I think that talks to how now young coaches, if you want to be in this industry, you're not doing, your 20 years of high school coaching where you're rolling into a gym, no idea what's going on in a tournament. You got to make an adjustment after the first quarter. Where, Coach Kiss was at St. Anne's for years, had a lot of success at the opposite level, Quad A and Triple A. He had to walk in and just be like, okay, this is what's happening on the court. How am I going to adjust? And I think Coach Carrier had similar experiences, and Dad had similar experiences, and Coach Plato at Dalhousie had similar experiences. And, you look at these guys and, they've had to do it, and it's reps. So as a coach, what are you doing to get those reps? Are you coaching in the summer? Are you working with youth teams? Are you running different practices? Are you trying to figure stuff out? Are you working on this stuff in exhibition games? And I think it's something that, has become important in our house, just since I was young watching games on TV, that's all we talk about is adjustments. So it's something that you definitely have to think about and work on as a coach. And I think, you look at the coaches that ended up medaling at nationals, like very experienced at different levels, or sorry, not nationals, OCAAs, but very experienced at different levels, able to adjust and get the best out of their players. So I think that's something that, young coaches have to keep in mind and keep focused on.
I think, like we said too, like experience wins. Like you're gonna get, like that's the same for the players. I think it's the same for the coaches too. Like you said, the more reps you get, the more experience you have, and then those adjustments come. And I think it comes down to that experience, like you said. I think you can apply it to players and coaches alike, and it helps regardless of the situation.
Yeah, I mean, and you just gotta know your team, and the more important thing is you gotta know your adjustments. You can't just make them up, right? You have to know what you're doing. So as long as you know your stuff and you're putting in the work, like you'll be fine. And I think the thing that sticks with me the most about learning about coaching is my dad said to me, it's probably about 15 when he said it. He said, "You're only as good as what you can recall on any given day."
Okay.
On what you can remember and what you can teach. So like if you learn something and you forget it and you need it that day, like you're not that good. But if you can recognize something and you've seen it and you know it and you recall it and you can explain it and teach it, you can be a good coach, right? So it's all about recall for game coaching, being able to see and apply. So I think that was good. So let's roll on to the second quarter before I get too philosophical.
Let's go second quarter a bit. I don't think there's too much exciting happening in the second quarter. We'll dive into it a bit unless you want to learn about the Windsor-Essex Catholic District School Board. I don't think you do. Let's just jump right in. Second quarter, St. Clair comes in up 8. Cusera another 3. Same thing we saw in the first quarter.
Yeah, if you want to go back a second, that's the bump back that we were talking about, actually. And then also disgusting 3 by Drew there. That's just an answer back. And then here's the other thing is that first quarter probably couldn't have gone much worse for Fanshawe, and they're down 8.
Yeah.
Second quarter is the same thing, and they're only going to be down 10. At the end of this quarter. And they couldn't have played, they could have played worse, but not much. Like,
No, not to their standards, anyways.
and Sinclair could have played better, but not much better, right? So,
Yeah.
like, it's
When you get both teams of this caliber on opposite ends of the spectrum, and for Fanshawe, you almost got to consider that a small win if you played that rough, I guess, and you're only down 8. But then you're St. Clair, you played about as well as you could, and you're only up 8.
mm-hmm.
It's almost a small loss, I guess, to them too, because they could have been up 12, 15 points early, and you're only up 8. I'll let you talk about this bump back.
Yeah, so right now you're going to see this zone and watch this first pass right here. The bottom row comes up, and there's no help, so it's an automatic 2-on-1, right? And that's all you're looking for against the zone is you're looking for – that's why teams throw it to the short baseline. That's why teams throw in the high post. You're just trying to create a 2-on-1, and teams do it a different way. Right here, they're just able to space corner and wing or free throw line extended, and the bottom row comes up and takes the first pass. It's an easy decision and a great shot, right? And then this is ridiculous. This is why she's the best player in the country. Like,
deep.
That's a disgusting shot, and it's probably the only one who can take it. But look what they're talking about. They're talking about the shot they just gave up. Like, there's a lot of, we'll call it championship DNA, but here again, the bump back, right? See how it's late there?
Same thing.
It was to Tam, who's not as good a shooter, and she makes a tough pass, a diagonal pass. Probably not the best decision, but they're about to attack the heck out of this right here, this bump back, and then like just another player to talk about, Wright.
Yep.
She had some rough patches in this game, and you watch your teammates pick her up a lot, but she makes about 5 or 6 plays in this game that just make you go whoa, right? So there's the other thing you can do. So if you pause for a second, so on that possession, to combat the bump back, they slid the middle of the zone out to deal with Tam. So
see if we can find it.
Yeah, it's right here. It was right there. It's
right there.
Yeah. So if you watch here, watch the middle of the zone. Pause. Right, she bumps out, but then they left the middle open. High post dives, weak side seems like they're matched up, and the middle falls with it, and you leave open this. So I don't know if there was miscommunication about what they were in, or if on the weak side, because I think they were going zone on make and man on miss. I think that's what they were doing. And this was after a turnover. So I'm not sure if it was a miscommunication or not, but they end up giving up a shot because they're trying to take away the rim and they're matched up on the weak side. So we got 3 players playing the zone and 2 players playing a man, right? So, and then, and it's hard. Like, this is a tough environment to communicate in. So it's not going to be perfect all the time. And as long as you're working hard, you can make up for some mistakes on defense, but not the way Sinclair was shooting this half. Another great pass, like just keeping them in the game.
Just anything that they can get at this point, just fighting to stay afloat.
Well, when Fanshawe speeds up a little bit, and things start getting better for them offensively. I think you'll see that. That when they're not running stuff as much, and they're just like, I'm Michaela Wright, I'm gonna go buy you, or I'm better than you, I'm going to go buy you, and we're going to find a shot somewhere. Like, they start to have to test. So we're back to the zone. Man here, sorry.
Yeah, it took Wright a bit to get going.
Yeah, so, like, I'm not sure what the adjustment was in this one, but you see after this timeout, it looked like they were kind of in man. You see Michaela Wright run across the floor, but they're still reluctant to bring their center out of the middle. Like, they want – what's Four's name?
Van Dyke.
Yeah, Van Dyke. They don't want to bring her too far away from the hoop. Rightfully so. She's very big and tall and long arms and can change shots, but they really don't want to pull her away from the hoop here.
No footwork. I don't think footwork's nearly as strong as Warren's either, which I think is going to come.
Yeah.
With minutes.
There's another bump back right there. And they're just attacking it, and they don't want to bring Van Dyke out of the corner, so they either got to get better at bumping back or bring Van Dyke out or get out of it, which is what they end up deciding to do. And then here's Michaela Wright. I think this is her doing ridiculous shit on the. Oh no,
just running all over the place.
Ridiculous. I mean, good. I think she makes a layup here.
Yep.
No, not this possession, but she makes like 4 or 5 plays that are just like incredible in this game. That wasn't one of them, but she has a baseline drive over 2 and the foul.
Yeah, she had that in the first quarter where she drove and attacked and.
Yeah, I mean, she has 30 in this game. Like she'll make, and even watching her on tape preparing for her, like they'll throw a ball outside of her area and she'll go grab it with one hand, take 2 dribbles, cross over, finish, and it's just like, man, like just so tough, hard to deal with. And here's
like last year too, like with her not being healthy, and then you come in this year, kind of making up for lost time. Like you said, she had 30 in this game. She had 30 in this game, 30, 10, and 5. And with the first quarter that she had, it's a quiet 30, 10, and 5. Like you don't really notice how well she played until it's all said and done. You look at the box score and be like, oh shit, missed that.
Not even the box score. You just watch her, like you'll see it a little bit in the fourth. Like she makes 4 or 5 championship plays, and there's a replay of another bump back. I think that was the 3rd or 4th one we're talking about here.
Yep.
They're just really, really struggling to get back to that corner. But yeah, she's diving on the floor, knocking balls loose. She has a rip to an open layup. She just takes the ball. There's another good baseline out of bounds for Fanshawe. Like they just run their stuff really well.
Like they just run into a hot shooting St. Clair team to start.
It's like a buzzsaw, man. Like I know Bill in his post game interview says, he was worried that they weren't going to cool down and they weren't going to be able to come back. I know that Fanshawe came back from 15 in the regular season at St. Clair.
Yep.
But man, like just look how steady they are. Like this is a tough environment. It's emotional. This is her last name Cotton?
Yes.
So she has some foul trouble in this game. She takes 3 fouls 84 feet away from the basket, which is tough. And, she plays really hard and she does some good things, but like, they're just calm out there. Like they're experienced. They've been here, and I'm not saying that St. Clair panics. They get a little chippy at the end, but like the fact that Fanshawe was able to weather this storm is impressive because like, Chair's going to the line and one. This is tough. Like they're just killing them. They hit threes, you close them out, and now they're getting by to the rim. Put in one of your, I think that was on Wright. Like put in one of your better players. It's foul trouble. Like Wright had 4 fouls in this game, I think.
Yeah, she finished with 4. Cotton had 4.
Yeah,
but like you said, like Fanshawe's been here before, so even though they're down 16 right now, you don't really get the sense that they ever really gave up on themselves. They don't really quit. Like you said, they just went about their business, ran their stuff.
Yeah.
Kept going. Didn't really show any emotion, good, bad, or otherwise. They just business as usual. And yeah, the first half didn't go their way, but you said once they found their rhythm in the third quarter and outscored St. Clair by 20, which we'll get to shortly, it was St. Clair kind of panicked, got a little chippy, like you said, and second time they've blown a double-digit lead at home to Fanshawe. Result was the same.
It's tough to say like this team blew a lead because, if you look at the box score, and we talked about this a little bit before, but if you look at the box score, most numbers that you're looking at, St. Clair should win this game. I think they shoot 81 shots. They shoot way more shots. They get 18 boards. They turn the ball over less. The only issue is that Fanshawe goes 34. Is it 30 for 37 or 34 for 37 from the line?
30 for 37 versus 14 of 17.
They make 16 more free throws. Now
that's the difference.
None of these are in the first half. I think they take 29 free throws in the second half. They take 29 free throws in the second half.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about it in a bit, but Coach Carrier gets probably the most bang for his buck on a technical that's ever been ever happened. Because if you look in the third quarter, we'll talk about it, but Fanshaw's in the bonus in 3 minutes in the third quarter.
Yeah.
So listen, refs can say what they want. I think this crew does a good job controlling this emotional game, but refs are people too.
Yeah.
And they can fall into emotional traps, and it becomes really tough. And there's that Giannis treatment I was talking about a little bit earlier. Like, no one is teaching help in from the corner in today's game, and just look how deep. Is that Logan?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's 4.
Yeah. So look how she's just in there building a wall, and they're just make a tough shot. Now get a little unlucky there with the call and the foul, but it's going to happen when a player of that caliber's coming downhill at you. But they're really working hard to keep her out of the paint.
Yeah, I guess blew the lead was a wrong choice of word. I guess you can.
Yeah,
you said St. Clair didn't lose the game. Fanshawe won the game.
Yeah, I really do believe that because here's the bump. No, they're in the man. But yeah, so see, here's the adjustment they make, right? Like Warren, go guard the worst shooter on the floor and just keep her in front of you, and we'll live with the result. And then this is, that's the kind of shot she can make though.
Yeah.
That she doesn't care. I think she takes 2 threes this possession. And it doesn't matter to her that she didn't make it. She's taking the next one. Like, she gets another one up right here.
Yep. The confidence she has in herself to shoot.
And that's a great shot. And Coach Kiss should be commended that those players have the confidence to shoot good shots no matter what. Like, they don't care. And I don't mean that they don't care as in they're not playing hard. I mean, they don't care about the result. They get a good shot. We're taking a good shot, and that's what matters. And I think that's a really tough quality to install in a team. And it's, like Coach Kiss talks about after the game, how they're excited about the future. Well, they probably should be. I think they lose 2 girls.
I think so.
The point guard, name starts with a U. Can't remember.
Ulicki?
Yeah, Ulicki. I'm sorry. I only refer these players as numbers normally. So
number 3.
Yeah.
We'll go number 3.
I know that. But Ulicki and I think Tam was 5th year.
Okay.
So
and they bring in some 4 or 5 right now. Local talent.
They're really excited about their recruiting class. I saw Coach Phil, the assistant, on one of the Jewel events, and they're really excited. Let's just put it that way, with who they have coming in. And I think Fanshawe is too. It's going to be different for them. Obviously there's a lot of leadership, but they're excited. Like, these teams are excited. Humber's got a good class again. Like, these teams at the top.
It's going to be interesting.
They want to stay there, right? They don't want anyone to jump up and knock them off, and they're working really hard so that they do stay there. They have this, it's almost a war of infrastructure. I call it. They got the infrastructure behind it, and we're all just trying to catch up and build a strong infrastructure that can compete year in and year out, where we can go out and recruit good kids. And our programs are fit the needs of enough kids. And I'm lucky. I'm at a school like Niagara College where we have enough programs and the right programs to get great student athletes and some graduates and young players and alike. We can get people from different walks of life, and that's good. And these schools really take advantage of their size and their ability to offer things to people, like offer different academics to people, and the infrastructure's there, right? Like,
and I think the fact that they're consistently top 3, top 4, people know the name. They want to that sells itself right there, right? If you're Humber, Fanshawe, St. Clair, you're always in the conversation. Top 3, top 4, host a home crossover game. She's so good. Too easy.
It's crazy. She hit some shots where you just got to live with it as an opposing coach. But, man, it's just like it's really tough to have to sit there and watch her do that to your team.
Just carve your defense.
Yeah. So
no matter what you put in front of her.
So there's a great example of the 5-out, no mistake offense that I was talking about earlier. So they set that away screen, and then one of the Kuchera sisters can see who's a little blurry, pops back. So it's a reject of the screen, a slip.
Bring it back up again for you.
Yeah, so if you watch here, so the way this offense works, there's lots of different ways to run it. What I think they're doing is they're calling – so technically, if you just press pause for a second because this is going to take a second. So what teams typically do in this offense is that the original offense is numbered. I think it's 1 to 7. There's 7 different cuts.
Mm-hmm.
So call a number, and that's the one you're running. You're running those cuts. So, for example, pass a 1, basket cut. 2, screen away, curl. 3, screen away, slip the screen. But there's always one person going to the rim, one person coming to the ball is the big idea of the offense.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure if Coach Kiss runs it like it's a read every screen's a different number, or if it's like we're running 2. But in this series, you see that you're going to see a couple back cuts. So I think this is 4, so that's Logan, right?
Yep.
So she's going to set this away screen. Warren's under, deep. And you're going to see a nice back cut from number 20. I think it's 21.
Yep.
Like I said, I deal with numbers, not names, unfortunately.
Yep. Hey, no, that works.
Yeah, so it's number 21. She's going to make it, and she's a really strong player around the rim. So she's going to put her head under the rim here.
Mm-hmm.
She's going to draw 2, and Logan's going to just pop out to the 3, and she's going to be wide open here. So if you press play, like you're going to see a good cut, right? 2 good cuts.
And everybody bites.
Everybody bites, right? Because who's the most dangerous player on the court? Well, it's the person standing under the basket after the players with the ball.
Yep.
So, and it's hard. Like, it's hard to break habits. Like, I'm sure Coach Bill's been yelling this is March, since September.
Mm-hmm.
Take away the paint. Take care of nothing at the rim, And if you keep yelling that at your team, it's great because they're going to do that. But eventually you're going to give up some threes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not the player. Like, obviously they probably have to communicate better, and coach would say that himself. But, and we're all guilty of it, and it's not a bad thing, right? Like, you're going to pick what you give up, but rather give up a 3 than some coaches rather give up 3 than the layup. So you just drill into your team that we got to take away the paint, and that tends to be what happens late in the season.
Mm-hmm. I think down the stretch here too, like right now it's 43-37. I think it ends 52-42 at halftime. So St. Clair kind of hits another gear I didn't think they had in the first half.
Yeah.
And really kind of puts Fanshawe against the wall, up 10. And again, they could have been up easy 20.
Yeah.
They played in that first quarter, right? With as well as they played and as shaky, I guess, for lack of a better term, Fanshawe played.
Mm-hmm.
And for them to weather a storm and be down 10, you take that and run with it at halftime and hope for the best in the second half.
Yeah, like the play we just watched, the play we just saw, late shot clock, Logan going up, grabbing a rebound, throwing it at the rim, getting fouled. Like, that's like, yeah, everything's going our way right now, which is awesome. And the other good thing that I just want to talk about with these teams is that, they both press for large portions of this games. They both show a 2-2-1 and a 1-2-2. Sorry, and a 1-2-1-1 diamond Fanshawe shows. And both teams just kind of handle it. It's not a huge factor in the game, but it's something that good teams do in our league, and they'll do it to not as good teams or teams with bad ball handlers. And it's really effective. And it's, something that, they do, Humber does. Who else? Most teams in our league show it, and I think it shows the importance of ball handling. But if you go back for a second, if you pause it right there, so this is Coach Bill's technical. So just a little insight into a technical. This is a good technical to take. Not that the new technical rules are any different, but if you have the ball and you take a technical, with the old rules, it was a turnover as well. So if you're going to take a tech, take it when they have the ball. It's the old way. Now it doesn't matter as much because it doesn't involve possession, but it's one shot. But press pause. Now, look at Fanshawe. Right? This is hostile environment. Things are going bad. St. Clair's going into that gear you mentioned. They're still going to score 5 points after this.
Mm-hmm.
but they're together.
Yep.
Right? It doesn't matter, right? And not saying that this will win you a bunch of games, but this is the cost of admission. Like, if you want to play in a hard environment and you want to do well, this is what it has to be.
Yep.
And I'm not faulting Sinclair for not being like this right now because, it's after a bucket. Things are going good. We're fine. Like, there's probably not a lot to talk about.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, if you just watch Fanshawe down the stretch, how they're together, talking to each other, hands on each other, making sure everybody's good. They're pulling people along. You'll see later in the game there's a shot of I forget who it is, but they Wright makes a turnover and they just kind of grab her and they're like, "Listen, you're fine. Let's keep going." Right? And you'll see it late in the game. Like, Wright, there's another play where you can keep it rolling, but Wright makes a turnover and she sprints back and
just want to point out too, like, you can even see Chu's face. Like, she is not phased.
No.
At all. And that's a scary sight.
No. Yeah.
She's not phased, and you are the 2-time OCAA Player of the Year, soon to be CCAA Player of the Year. You're down 8. Coach has got a technical, and that's your expression?
Yeah. I mean,
you can't teach that. Like, that's locked in.
Been there, done that, right, at this point. And, I think an underrated player for them, I just want to give her some shine, is Jordan, number 2. I think she's a really important part of what they do. She's super athletic, really talented, and, like, just plays hard. Like, it's hard to get, like, hard player to deal with on the other end because she's just going to do the right thing most of the time.
Yep.
Which, is tough, right? Like, that's makes it difficult to prepare for, but she's a really important piece for them.
Yep.
There's that ball screen we were talking about, trying to put Warren in a ball screen of some kind. Didn't quite get that advantage they were probably looking for, but this is what Bazzi does.
Hits threes.
Take tough shots and make tough shots, and like, not shy, doesn't care, we'll put it up.
Yep.
So
the confidence to shoot those shots too. The harder they are, it seems like the more confident she is to shoot them. And
for sure,
she's gonna make them. She's gonna make them, and I don't think anybody on that St. Clair bench is gonna doubt her when she shoots a tough shot because she knows she can hit it.
Yeah.
And then you get instances like that where she does, and the hand in her face, and it's just another day at the office.
Yeah. And they're back to the no mistake offense, like, and they're doing a really good job. They create mini closeouts all over the place, and here they go, right? Like, that's their last bucket of the half.
Yep.
But it's an important. It feels like a really important one at a time.
And good on Fanshawe too for continuing to fight in the last 40, 45 seconds it was to get a quick 5 points. And
Chu hits 5 points. Probably should have been an N-1-3, judging by her reaction. And then she's going to hit a really tough buzzer beater really soon. But they get a defensive stop here. Like, this is a pretty good defensive possession, and you just kind of got to live with the result.
You mentioned the three that could have been an and one. You look at her reaction, but she doesn't let that impact her on the way back to the floor, right? She just lets it go, and
then hits a ridiculous shot and scores 5 points, running into the locker room, and now you're down 10 instead of 15, right? Like, in those last 2 possessions, and you're feeling okay about yourself. Like, this is a ball game now. Like, they'll cut this down in the next 3 minutes of game time.
That's that experience, right? She's been there before, like the confidence, and then doesn't celebrate. Like, she knows she's been there before, just runs off the floor, and away you go. Business as usual, back in the locker room. And
I mean, not that anyone wants to talk about our game with Fanshawe, but we held them in the mud for a long time.
Yep.
That game was low scoring, and then she did the same thing. She's just like, I'm gonna go score 6 points right now at the end of the fourth quarter and see you later, go home. And you're like, not much we could do about those. Like, we defended those really well, and she just makes tough shots and, will rip your heart out. It's actually, it's super impressive to watch. And hard to watch when it's happening to you, but fun to watch when it's happened to someone else. It kind of reminds me of the girl from Notre Dame, who hit those two shots late.
Yeah.
I don't want to say her name wrong.
I can't pronounce it either, but I know you're talking about back-to-back game winner threes at the buzzer to win.
Yeah, yeah, but like even that, her whole career is just like, yeah, she's crafty, hit step backs, get to the rim, like she's that type of player, like just a high impact national problem at this level, right? And a really, really good player.
They just have a gear that they can kick things up to that most people don't have.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see a little payoff from that Coach Bill technical here, which whether we like to admit it or not, that's probably a foul early in the first half.
Probably.
But like I said, I think the officials did a great job. It's super hard to officiate an emotionally charged game like this.
Mm-hmm.
Two rivals, fans yelling, like. Coaches are animated, like lots of emotions, like, and you'll see sometimes players take maybe go over a line a little bit in a regular season that would be over the line in a regular season game. I think Warren slams the ball down in the second quarter and kind of ref pulls her aside and gives her a warning, which is just good officiating.
Yep.
But they're getting to the line right here, probably a foul, right? But this is the start. That's the first two of 29 free throws coming up. And I think they only shot, like, sometimes it's inflated, but I think they only got to the line 3-4 times late. So they got to the line 20 times in meaningful times without Sinclair just fouling them. And, 3 Sinclair starters foul out.
That's tough.
Is it Logan? Logan fouls out?
Yeah, Kirsten Tompkins fouls out. Logan fouls out. And Tam fouls out, and then you've got Jana with 3. Ulickney has 4. So all 5 of your starters have at least 3 fouls.
Oh, actually, Ulickney fouls out too. She gets a technical and fouls out. So they just report it. So they have 4 players foul out.
4 of your 5 starters foul out. That's tough. That's tough to overcome.
I mean, the announcers talk about it in this game. The announcers do a good job in this game. There's a lot going on, so that there's some times where they're a little
they're charged with just as much emotion as everybody else.
It's hard, right? And this is a team they've watched all year. Also, that was a great example of putting Warren on a ball screen to get one of your better players to the rim. But they talk about Sinclair not being deep. I think Sinclair plays like, how deep do they go? Sinclair.
They went.
They go 7.5.
Yeah, because they've got 6 that play over 17 minutes. Bazzi plays 30 off the bench. Then you get 21 Ahmad plays 10. And then you've got Freckleton that plays 2 and Orton that plays 2, and that's it.
Yeah. Orton just went in for some defensive 2 defensive series at the end of the third. That's when the coach – there's some real good coaching at the end of the quarter here. Just a little bit of a chess match. And I think they're really excited about Orton at Sinclair. Like, here's Michaela Wright doing –
what Michaela Wright does,
ridiculous stuff. That's like, I mean, ridiculous in a good way. Like, just like
stuff you can't really fathom.
Like stuff that you watch and you're like, oh wow, that's awesome. Like yeah, that's gonna be a problem to deal with. But like, she makes about 3 or 4 more of those in this half. Like, plays like that.
She's a player that I wonder what type of number she could have put up if she was fully healthy for all 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, it's always tough when you think about injuries, but definitely lots of potential, and she taps into it in this game. And it sucked. That's the other thing that we'll talk about a bit, is that it sucks that this team didn't get to go to nationals. I think Sinclair could have showed well at nationals too. Yeah. Listen, I'm biased, but I think we play in the toughest conference in the country, not just the OCAA, but the OCAA West.
The West division is tough.
I think it's insane. Like, even if you look at us and Redeemer, like, we both had winning records against the other side in our preseason games and our exhibition games. Like, and Redeemer had, probably the best shooter in the conference, and, Conestoga's huge, and Lambton's got some, one of the best rookies and one of the best players in the conference. Like, I'm forgetting teams, and I don't want anyone to be
even then, like, the Sioux might be the only weak team in the West.
Yeah, probably, right?
Even then, they fight. Like they leave it all out there.
They have you better fight if you're in the West, right? Like,
you have to.
Sheridan's supremely talented. Like, they're going to be good. Like, it's a killer division. Like, there's not a game on your schedule. Like, we lost
easy.
a game. We lost a game in the first half, and I went, oh man, like I don't see a win on the schedule till February.
Yep.
And it's like, this is going to be a long 9 weeks, right? Like, and we happened to play there, and we did pick up one or two, but like, it's hard, man. Like,
I keep coming back to last year and Redeemer. It was Jesse's first year.
Yeah.
And down the stretch, they played with 5 girls.
Yeah.
Maybe some games they had 6, but you're playing 5 girls, 40 minutes a game.
Mm-hmm.
They're just gassed. And they're fighting. Like, there were games where they were down maybe 8, 9 points. And you're playing the same 5 girls, 2 of which are probably your starters. Other 3 are ones who probably wouldn't play 40 minutes in a game ever.
Yeah. I mean, I think we talked about this a little bit last time, but Hamilton basketball has a certain toughness to it. That's just, much appreciated on my end. I really admire some of the things Hamilton does, and like, you look at a person like Melissa Taddy, who played for Brock.
Yep.
I got to see up close a lot, and there's just this Hamilton, like,
it's that Steel City. It's that grit. It's
also Michaela Wright doing some great things on the screen as we're talking. But yeah, there's just, I have such appreciation for Hamilton basketball. One of my coaches, won a couple championships at Cathedral as a player.
Mm-hmm.
You walk into that gym and it's special, and you go watch Cathedral, boys basketball, girls basketball, St. Thomas More, like that Hamilton High School League. Obviously, like with the OSBA and things like that, but high school leagues aren't what they were. But even like Saltfleet's still there's still really good teams, and those Hamilton leagues were probably some of the toughest in the country for a long time when I was growing up. So it's cool to see, like, and there's Hamilton players all over, and they're typically the tough ones who are bleeding from their noses, who just don't want to play.
Nope, like, they just put me back out there.
I know that's a stereotype and overgeneralization, but like it just happens to be true in a lot of cases.
It's true. Yeah.
It's a pretty cool thing, and it's hard to get players from there, but you gotta work to get them if they're.
And that's that toughness too. That's the stuff you can't teach. Like, that's the stuff that every coach you hate to play against. But you love to have on your team at the same time, because you can't teach it, and they want to get back out there quick. Like, we, growing up playing hockey all the time, we ran into that. I don't know how many times playing teams from that area.
Yeah.
And like, they're tough as nails. And no matter what you throw at them, it doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
They just don't care. It kind of makes it kind of fuels them a bit. It makes it even worse, and then just come back 10 times harder. And we're East London city kids growing up that just get absolutely pummeled. And we do our best, but I mean, just get run over. It's tough.
I mean, there is something to say about an old steel town and what that is. I'm lucky enough to grow up in an old steel town. Just a quick aside, 2 quick asides. One, Fanshawe's cut this league down to 1 in 3 minutes and 40 seconds.
And St. Clair hasn't scored yet.
Yes, 9-point swing. And then second, I love Windsor. I got family in Windsor. Welland is the Rose City. Windsor is the city of roses. Okay. And people are going to laugh at me for that because Welland's smaller, but they're coming after our thing. Wow. So I live in the Rose City. Windsor's the city of roses. So take that for what it is. But it was something that bugged me listening to the announcer talking about it. But anyways, that's just my Welland shout out that I wanted to get in there.
I went to school at Brock, so I spent some time in Welland going through whatever, just days away from class, and it's a nice town. That whole area is nice.
That's very nice of you to say. Thank you. I love my city.
I gotta try and suck up to people to get them on more often. So fluff some feathers if you need to here and there.
You already got me twice, man. You don't need to.
That's true.
You don't need to say anything more. This is fun. I enjoy doing this.
One aside for me that doesn't really impact the game at all, but it bothers me to no end that their logo is upside down center court.
Hey man, that's your area, right?
That nitpicks me to no end.
Yeah, that's
But I digress. I mean, that's the least of my concerns. It's a
beautiful gym. They
it
did
is.
a good job on the facility. It's a fun place to coach because it's just so nice. You know,
but just flip your logo. That's all I need. Just flip it.
I think that's gonna cost a little too much money.
Probably.
Great sharing the ball there from Fanshawe. Like, this is when they get really good. They stop kind of running things. They run a little bit. Like, I'm not saying that they're not running anything. They're running, you know, some X crosses off the high post. They're doing some smaller things, but pretty much they're breaking their player down and finding the open shot. And that's a great way to play. Like, you don't always have to run the most elaborate sets to be effective. And I think that really shows. You know, especially in this quarter. I think this quarter is it 26-6 or 22-6 or something like that?
26-6.
Yeah, 26-6.
20-point swing.
Yeah, so, and St. Clair's already got 3. So they're only going to score 3 more the rest of the quarter.
And like Fanshawe's at, I think they're 54? So they've already scored 12. So they get another 14.
Yeah, exactly, right? So it's
and like you'll see a lot of teams, like if they go on a run like this, like they're getting excited, like the energy's high on the floor. The energy's high for Fanshawe, but they hardly crack a smile. Like they are so confident in themselves, they're so locked in. But they know what they're doing. They know what they need to do, and that never wavers. That confidence never wavered when they were down 16 in the second quarter to now. Like their faces look the exact same. I bet if they showed Chu now, she'd have that same stoic, stone-faced look. It's business. It's a business trip, and they're not going to smile till that final buzzer goes and they have a medal.
Yeah, and I mean the other important thing it does is it just takes the crowd right out of it.
Yep.
You know, a quarter like this, and I don't think that can be understated. Like I said last time on this podcast, the noise is noise, and you enjoy it, and I think that's true.
Yep.
But you also have to enjoy it when you just stick it to 1,000 people.
Yep.
You know, like that. You'd be lying if you said that didn't feel good. And I think it's definitely, you know, Fanshawe's got a really good, and, you know, keep talking about this, they're together. Our mindsets, it's us against the world, because it is right now, right? Like no one in those red shirts on the other side of the court, like, yeah, it's great that they're there. They're not going to help you win the game.
Nope.
And they're not going to drown out the St. Clair crowd if St. Clair is going.
No.
It's great that you have to share it with your friends and family. But it's the 14 players dressed in, you know, what is it, 4 or 5 coaches that they have. You know, and that's it. And that's the only people that you have. You know, and it's a tough environment. You know, and even when it's an interesting place to play.
Yeah.
And we were talking about this before, but the announcers are literally right beside the visiting bench.
Like they're right. They can reach out and touch Bill where he is right now.
Yeah. So, you know, even when I'm coaching there, you hear them talking about the game while it's happening.
Yep.
And they pick you up on the hot mics. Like when I watched the game back, I made sure it was on silent because I didn't want to hear, like my game when we put it there, because I didn't want to hear what I said.
No.
Just so I didn't color my own opinion, but you know, like
they're right on top of you.
Yeah. And there's fans above you too, probably in this. And there's like, it can be a claustrophobic feeling, I'm sure. But you have to have that bubble. You have to have that togetherness. And I feel like that's the price of admission for a game like this. And Fanshawe brought it. And then if you do that, your game's able to play for you. And their game was overall better than St. Clair today, right? Like, I don't think it's like, you know, they're at the end of the game, these announcers will talk about dynasties and, you know, we'll talk about St. Clair going into that upper echelon of teams. And, you know, if you were to tier it, you know, I think that those top 4 teams are above everybody. I think.
Yeah.
I think the order probably went, you know, I think the top 3 could have been any order.
Oh, for sure.
And I think Algonquin is close. but I don't know.
They're knocking on the door.
They're knocking on the door, but they're not quite at what these three teams were this year yet. Humber, Fanshawe, and St. Clair. Some East Coast East fans might get mad at me for that, but like I just think that these three teams were exceptional. And
you can probably mix Durham into that conversation a bit too with Kendra Oliver.
The other two teams are Durham. Durham's really tough. We got to play Durham twice, and they're really, really good. And like Durham will go out there and beat you up and be happy about it. Like, and they bully you. And they're good. And I thought they were going to beat Algonquin. They had them down late, and Algonquin had a great comeback and won that game because they're really talented and they play the game really fast and they shoot the ball well. But I think those teams they're almost there, but they weren't quite there with these three yet. I think George Brown's close.
They're close too. They had a game with Algonquin in the second half where they were down. I think it was 20-something points. They came back and won. So you get these teams that they showed that glimpse of, you're like, okay, like they're knocking on that door, and then other games that they should win handily, they either don't, or you don't know what happens.
I mean, that's the you tweet it all the time that the OCAA makes no sense.
It doesn't. It makes absolutely zero sense.
In a lot of ways, it doesn't. I think that the way this tournament ended made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I think it shook out the way, like, very close to how it should. Like I said, Humber could easily have been in this game.
Yeah.
If Sinclair won, it wouldn't have been like a shock. You know.
Yeah, like you said, the top four teams: Humber, St. Clair, Fanshawe, and Algonquin are your final four.
Yeah, and that's
that upper tier.
That made sense, right? So I think that it's going to be a hard road for a lot of teams to get in those upper tiers. Like, you look at, like, Lambton's working really hard, Conestoga's working really hard, Sheridan's got some there's a lot of teams working really, really hard to get into this upper tier, and it's only going to make the league better. Like, I think Sinclair is going to be the team to beat next year.
So. Yep.
What our season looks like, because they just get so many players back.
And you said they only lost 2, and they've brought in, I think, 4 or 5 recruits now already, a lot of which are from that area too. So familiar with what the Saints do. I'm sure they've seen games. Like keeping that talent close to home, like what you guys are doing too at Niagara with your Welland connections in Niagara and what have you. Keeping that local talent at home, people are already familiar with kind of what you guys do. But I think St. Clair is definitely that team to beat heading in.
There's a couple
Humber, I think, too.
Yeah, Humber's got a great recruiting class too. There's a couple crowd shots here. You can see some of the Jewel girls from Windsor in the crowd wearing their sweaters, cheering on the home team. So that's that's obviously great for Sinclair basketball. But you look at that last play Warren made on the defensive end, just getting on the floor, like, it's a championship play. Like, just diving in the corner, saving the ball to a teammate. Like, like, this is when it's it's you gotta put your money where your mouth is. You gotta show what you're worth now. Like, show what it takes. And both teams are working really hard. And now is the chess match. So you're gonna see a lot of offense, defense subs in the next minute 19.
Yeah.
So the first one just came in. They took Warren out for defense, and there's going to be about 3 or 4 more of these substitutions. Kids' heads will be spinning coming on and off the court sometimes.
Just a revolving door.
Yeah, go do your job, right? So that's a big substitution.
Big 3.
Yeah, so she comes in the game. I think that was the same player.
Ashley LeBlanc.
Yeah, I think that's who they subbed in. Comes in and hits a big 3. Like, that's huge.
And like St. Clair, they couldn't buy anything this quarter. They couldn't buy a foul, couldn't buy anything. That thing rolled around the rim. There was a couple times where Logan drove and probably could have been a foul. Nothing. Like you said, the block at the start could have been a foul. And it all comes back to, you can probably tie it all back to that technical, like you said.
Yeah, I mean, like, sometimes you get your money's worth, and that's
pick your spots.
That's experience right there. It was probably a really, really good technical to take if you're going to take one. So, and we talked about that a bit, and I think that's hard to ignore in this game. I think it played a role, and whether it was to inspire his team or to, try and get things to fall his way a little bit, like, took it and then he backed off, and he knew he needed to take it because, like I said, refs are people too. It's an emotional game. Maybe he felt like things were falling in. I don't think that every call he argued was wrong. I think they got a couple calls like dead right that he was upset about. Like there was a charge in the first half that Coach Bill was upset about that you watch on replay and you're like, yeah, that's definitely a charge. Like feet were outside the circle, established, right? But if there's doubt and you make enough of an argument, you're gonna put more seeds of doubt in, and and like you never want to say that coaches play officials, but
sometimes you got to play the game within the game.
Yeah, I mean it's a management thing. Like you're never going out there to try and embarrass anybody, or because they're working too. And I do think that there was definitely seeds planted there. So you see here they subbed in Orden for defense.
Yep.
And then they get the ball back, goes out of bounds here.
These are backbreakers. Those 2 missed free throws.
Yeah.
That layup.
Well, look, they'll take Orden right out again. So there's been like 5 or 6 subs, and I think that, so Fanshawe's got their defensive lineup in. I thought they were going to put, when I watched this game again, I thought they were going to put Warren back in and Wright for the free throws because they're going to have possession. Yep. But they have their defensive lineup in, protecting them from fouls. They do a pretty good job here, I think. Give a tough shot, but it goes out of bounds. They get the ball, and then you'll see the cavalry come back in, and you'll see Orden come back in. So I think they put Orden back in for sure. And I think Wright comes back in.
Yeah, I think so.
So this is where, here comes Wright. So they're trying to milk. They're trying to get the most possessions for their better scores that they can. Yep. And they hit a buzzer beater here. It's unfortunate for Oregon because she busts her butt here and just doesn't get the help that she probably needs. Like, see how people leave her.
Yeah, and then she's wide open.
Yeah, so she had to go from baseline to baseline, basically.
Basically, yeah. And then I don't think that shot had any business going in. Off balance layup, but
once again, Wright does some stuff that's just like, it's ridiculous. It's amazing. Like,
she's on her own level.
Yeah, it's fun to watch. She has 30 this game, and you don't even feel like she does. But, right, so, like, it's probably unfair to Orden to ask her to do all that in one session with not that much help. But, she went out there and worked hard in her job, and, that's a hard thing to do as a player.
Yep.
Like, to know that you might get on the court for 2 possessions, and you've got to be great, whether it's to make a shot or to go defend someone. And that was the play I was talking about earlier.
The hustle.
So, yeah, like just like, and we missed a couple minutes of this fourth quarter. It's fine, but she has a bad turnover early. This is after it.
Yep.
So, she turns the ball over here, and instead of putting her head down sulking, like this is a 13-point game. She just busts her butt and steals the ball back. Now nothing comes from it. They don't get a great shot, but like just goes and like, yeah, that's mine. Thank you. Yep. And that's a impressive thing. Now it gets a little like I don't know if the announcer called it Bad News Bears, but he just thought it was wild going on here, and it kind of was, right? But watch right here. So Wright puts her hands over her face, and they go to her right away and like, get your head up. I don't know if it cuts to it, but you'll see. You
can see Warren too, just kind of wave her hand and be just like, yeah, like we're fine, like it's okay, like just
So they're trying to shake things off, right? And it's hard because like these teams are going a million miles an hour. There's going to be mistakes, right? They're playing hard, and there's the adjustment we were talking about with Warren again. We're just going to put her on your worst shooter on the floor.
Yep. If she makes a shot, we'll live with it.
Yeah.
If not, roll with it.
Yeah. And, that's a good post touch. I know that shot didn't go in, but then she ran and buried her girl in the post. She didn't make the shot, but there's Warren again, right? So Tompkins just missed one.
Yep.
And we talk about, Bazzi not really caring. Tompkins didn't really want to shoot that one.
No.
And that's no fault of her own. Like, it's a big game. It's hard, right? Like, it's hard to want to shoot that. And, like, I don't know enough about, what her instructions were, what coach told her, but, like, if you can get away with having Warren playing man-to-man defense on a non-shooter, like, it's really going to help you keep her out there.
Yep.
So that I think that's big that, she contested one, it was missed, and then I'm not sure if Tompkins takes another one. She shoots 6, I think, right? How many does she shoot?
She shoots.
Yeah, 1 for 6.
1 for 6. Yeah, 1 for 9 overall. 1 for 6
from 3, right? So,
Eesh.
I mean, but it's tough. Like the whole team doesn't shoot great, right? Like it's not just her. Like
yeah.
she also had 5 offensive rebounds. So she like Tompkins and only 1 turnover. Like Tompkins,
that's where she makes her living, right? Is on the glass. She's not going to shoot overly well, but she does a lot of those little things, like you said. 5 offensive rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 1 turnover.
Yeah, like she did her job and she worked really hard, right? It's just it becomes tough if that's the adjustment that Fanshawe made, and they're going to live with her trying to beat them.
Yep. Going to live with her shooting her shot, and if she makes them, great. If not, then
like we used to call it at Cape Breton University. We used to call it T triple dubs. That's what we wanted shots. So like if someone's taking a that's what we wanted shot, if it goes in, you can't be upset.
Yep.
Right? No, sometimes you get burned with that, right? Like, and we did a couple times this year, like especially against Mohawk. Like we played Mohawk on senior day and we ran into a buzzsaw, but there were a lot of that's what we wanted shots. Like that's fine. Sometimes you run into a buzzsaw, and that's what happened in the first half here. Is that a lot of the shots they give up, with the exception of the bounce back corner or the bump back corner threes to Kuchera, were shots that you can live with kind of from Sinclair. And, because they're going to take them. So you might as well just contest them and hope for the best and rebound. And they just drilled shots. And they're capable of that. And they're capable of that, especially at home. And then you see them coming back a little bit to the average, this half. Not like they shot 33% on the year from 3, and they shot 34.8% from 3 in this game.
Yeah, right on par with what they did all year.
Yeah. So and they shot the ball really well in the first half. So it just kind of it fell back, and sometimes it doesn't, and they would have won this game. But
the world has a weird way of kind of balancing itself out to what your average is.
I mean, you hope so. There tend to be a lot of outliers, in some games, right? Because one game, anything can happen. Like that's the issue they're going to have with the NBA is if like they have this one game play-in tournament.
That's going to be tough.
If you put Stephen Curry out there with the worst, with like the Warriors, who are I think in line for the number 1 pick, and Steph Curry has 55 points, like it's possible. Like it'd be an outlier performance, but it could happen. And if you're putting everything on one game, anything can happen.
That's true.
You can't worry about numbers as much. You gotta kind of play the game. But credit to Sinclair, like they don't go away. Like they fight and they force Fanshawe to keep their players out there. Fanshawe tries to get some bench players in near the end, and they go turnover 3, turnover layup, and then the starters are back in. So it's like, they made the run a little late, but they made the run, and they keep trying to push.
They made Fanshawe sweat.
Yeah,
they made them earn it.
Not the girls walking off the court. The girls walking off the court, turn the ball over. We're laughing a little bit, but you'll see that. But they made coach, and it's a coach's job to worry about worst case scenarios.
Yeah.
To be a realistic optimist. And sometimes that gets clouded by pessimism, or just like we just got to take care of business here.
Yep.
And I think Coach Bill does a good job taking care of business down the stretch, and it doesn't mean that Coach Andy didn't coach a good game. Like I do think they had a good game plan early. They hit a bunch of shots, and then things just didn't fall for them.
Nope.
And then like we talked about that, like Fanshawe won this game. Like Sinclair didn't blow it. They just didn't shoot well in the third quarter.
Yep. Really bounces didn't go the way. You've seen a few kind of roll around the entire rim or back rim and could have bounced straight in, but didn't. Just kind of unlucky bounces that didn't really go their way. But you see, like Bazzi still has confidence to shoot the tough shots, so she's going to keep letting them fly until you tell her not to, and she's probably still going to do it anyways.
Yeah, I mean,
there's no stop sign for her in shooting.
This Sinclair team's tough. I think they have a big coming in for sure, 6'2" girl, and like they're excited, man, and they should be. Like they're a good team. They're going to be.
There's a lot to be excited about,
and like they've built something there that's going to compete year in and year out, and they got the infrastructure now. So what's what's everyone else going to do? And we're all trying to catch up in our own ways and build it in our own ways so that we can deal with it. But like you said, they get their local girls. They get who's you made a joke earlier. Who cares about the Windsor Essex Catholic School Board? Well,
St. Clair does.
It really does, right? And they really care. Like, I think there's a girl from Holy Names going there. Catholic has been really good on the boys' side for a long time.
Yeah, they went out to Ursuline College in Chatham. Yeah, one from there too.
You just got to own your backyard, and I think that was a big part of what we did here. And we were very fortunate this year is that we had some really good players that are local, and this is tough. Like, Logan had a great game.
Yep.
I think she was 27 and 10 and 5 or something like that. 27.
Yeah, she went 26, 10 and 4, and was 4 of 8 from 3. I think all 4 came in that first quarter and a half, I think.
Yeah, but like, had a really good game, was very influential in the game, and deer foul with 4 minutes left is tough, and it's a tough way to end your year.
Mm-hmm.
Probably deserved better. Like, she's a really good player.
Yep.
We got to try and figure out a way to deal with her and her sister next year. I don't know what the heck that's going to look like.
I have no idea. Like, I don't like if you take one away, the other's going to hurt you.
Well, we played against one of them. Only one of them
right at the start,
and she lit us up. It was just like, that was my second game in the league, and I was not trying to be smart, but just trying to, like, well, she's gonna beat us. She's gonna beat us, and she did. We were coming off. That was we had a okay preseason schedule, but I don't think it really prepared us well for what was coming.
You guys played us the first game.
Yeah, and also that game we had 4 girls out with concussions.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
wasn't a full squad.
No. The Lambton game we were healthy. Sorry, I mean our preseason games, like, we weren't healthy in our preseason, and like we beat Georgian by 40, and we beat Loyalist, and sure they were good games for us, and we had a good game with Centennial, but I don't think it got us ready to play the Lambtons of the world, the Conestogas. We weren't ready to play those teams until the second half.
Yeah.
Just because of our youth. Like, I felt like I was, and I told my point guard this, but like, we just kind of left her in to figure out against Lambton, and it did not go well, right? Like, it was bad, like, lost by 40. So we were just trying to survive the next night at St. Clair, and we played much better, like, but they're really good, and one sister was enough to crush us early, and then we got them on a Sunday in the second half, and that was tough because we were missing some girls that don't play on Sundays. But
even this game, like, Logan finished, like we said, 26, 10 and 4. Jana goes 21, 7 and 6.
Yeah,
turnovers kind of killed Jana a bit. Yeah, 10.
That's the tough part with Jana's game in this one, because she did play well, and she takes a really. And I think I don't know how they feel, but she took a really bad foul late on shoot, like a tough one to watch, one that you don't really want to see in the game. But then again, credit to Fanshawe for just getting up and not worrying about it and not dealing with it. It's kind of like that Scottie Pippen moment where, he gets destroyed by Dennis Rodman against the Pistons in the year that they beat him. And instead of getting up and wanting to fight, he just got up and made his free throws.
Yep.
So, like, it's tough because you see the frustration creep in. You're so close and you're a good team, and you lose to this freaking Fanshawe team 2 years in a row. Like, it can't be fun. It's got to be frustrating, right? And it's got to eat away at you. And if it doesn't, like,
it shows just how close you are. Like, they're knocking on that door, but it doesn't open.
I think the thing for them to take solace in is it's going to make them better. They have another opportunity, and they're going to be a tough team, right? Like, this St. Clair team is going to be no joke next year.
They're going to be tough. Like, probably maybe top 5, 8 in the country, I'd say.
I mean, like, I wouldn't want, like, if I were somewhere else, I wouldn't want to play them at nationals. No. Like, I wouldn't want to play Fanshawe at nationals. Like, great. Like, who has as many tough games as these teams in the regular season or the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
Like they're used to it.
Mm-hmm.
The Quebec League's great. There's lots of really good teams. Out west is tough, but like these guys got 4 games against each other, like 2 games against each other and 2 games against Humber,
Mm-hmm.
and then they get the playoffs. Like Fanshawe beat Durham in the playoffs. Like that's not an easy game.
Nope.
I think was it Fanshawe that had Durham or St. Clair? I looked at the bracket last night.
I think it was Fanshawe.
Yeah, here's the bad foul that they don't show on the replay, but just they get up, they huddle up, they make their free throws,
mm-hmm.
and they get the ball back, right? So they're not worried, they're not bothered by it. They're just icing the game at this point. They handle things really well down the stretch, and I think
mm-hmm.
the coaching staff and Coach Bill have a lot to do with that. And them being so calm, and obviously their experience.
Right, they don't get worked up on the bench. They'll yell a bit, but you don't see their emotions get the best of them. That kind of trickles down to the team, and like you see them on the floor, like you said, they huddle up, they're all together. They don't let emotions get the best of them. They're picking each other up. That starts on the bench. The coaches, they're not getting animated, they're not yelling, not swearing, not carrying on. And then you see the same with the team. Like they're not showing they're not getting worked up when things don't go their way. They're just away they go. Fanshawe had Durham, beat them 79-70, and then St. Clair beat George Brown 74-66.
Which are like 2 really good teams, right? Like so, these, and it's such a shame that nationals didn't happen this year. Like I understand why, and why it didn't happen, but like if you feel bad for the Fanshawe kids, 3 5th years, not able to have that chance to finish out their career probably the way they deserve with a shot at a national medal. But I'm sure good memories from this game. And, we talk about the threes, St. Clair went 11 for 23 in the first half, and then 5 for 23 in the second half. And they hit 2 threes now. Like they just hit one. And I think
one more, I think
Baz is about to hit one right. So they really only hit 3 threes. Here's the tech that gets number 3 fouled out. Just high emotion. It's tough, right?
It's frustrated.
Yeah, it's hard, and Coach Kiss probably rightfully so didn't think it was a foul, but like at this point in the game, the refs are looking for you to foul, so they're gonna call it.
They're looking for it, high intensity moments, and it was a foul, but I don't think. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, emotions got away from her a bit, I think.
Yeah, I mean it's a technical, like it is, and if it wasn't, like if I was coaching another team, I'd be like, why the heck isn't that technical? I'd make a stink about it, but it's all right. Like 21 seconds left, they're looking for you to foul as the defensive team. So, it is what it is. It sucks. And I think it's the frustration boiling over at this point. Like, they probably feel like they let this one get away.
Yep. Like we said, like Fanshawe, I don't think St. Clair lost it. Fanshawe won it.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, bounces didn't go St. Clair's way, but they still took quality shots. They still did what they could, took what they had, and first half everything fell. Second half everything didn't, and that's the end of it, I guess. That's kind of the tale of 2 halves in this game for the most part for both teams.
Yeah. There's the other 3 so there's the 4th and 5th 3 in the last minute 30.
And then that's last they score, and then you get Fanshawe going down and 2 free throws and the last 21 seconds of formality, and
championship.
That's it.
Right, so it's like it's a good game. It's definitely was good for me to watch again. See that level of play. It makes you excited. It makes you nervous. Like you wonder if you can ever get there. I think we eventually can, but and I think it's something to strive to. That level of basketball. It's it's played at a high level. It's high intensity, and everybody knows their job, and they're doing it well. And there's some really, really good players on the court. So it
shows how tough the West is. It just shows the West and what that upper echelon has, and kind of where other teams are striving to get, and that's the end goal, right? To be there playing for a medal on the Sunday or whatever, Saturday, whatever day it's going to fall on.
Yeah,
the year it's in, but that's what you're striving for, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's what you want. You want a shot at those teams, and I'm really grateful that we get to play those teams on our schedule. And it just makes our program better, and we got to keep working to make our program as best we can so that we can catch up. I think Kendall's doing the same thing. I think Conestoga and all those other teams like Redeemer. I think we're all thinking the same thing. It's like.
If you want to beat the best, if you want to be the best, you got to beat them. And like you said, the West is so tough every year, top to bottom. Every game's a grind, and you got to play those games to get to the top. Like you said, you got to take your bumps. You got to get those reps in, and eventually, you think they have to fall down a tier at some point. Like something's got to change.
You don't even hope they fall down. You just hope that you get there.
That's true. Hope you catch up. You want to beat them when they're at their best. Don't beat them when they fall down a tier. Beat them when they're at their best, right?
You never hope for someone to fall down, right? Like,
that's true. Stumble a bit. Maybe stumble a bit, but don't fall all the way down.
I think if you're doing your job and you're working really hard and you're getting the people that you need to get in your program, there's a lot of kids in Ontario. I spent a lot of time in Nova Scotia. There's 5 universities in Nova Scotia.
Yep.
So it becomes hard, and there's less players. There's really, really good players in Nova Scotia, and this was a conversation I used to have with Ryan Dickinson, is that, the top 12 to 14 players in Nova Scotia can play with anybody in the country.
Yep.
But 15 to 250, just can't compete with Ontario's 15 to 250 or
That's
Quebec
true.
15 to 250.
Yeah.
And it's not, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, the province is only 1 million people, like Ontario's deep. There's lots of talent. There's lots of girls who are really good at basketball all over the place. So, if you get the right people in your program and you get the right momentum and you're playing the right way, like, why can't you reach that level? Why, so there's no reason that you can't. It takes time. It takes a lot of work.
Yep.
And as long as you're within the rules and doing it all above board, like,
all by the book,
you just gotta keep working.
Yeah. Rome wasn't built in a day.
No, it wasn't. It was
But,
not.
Any last words from you on what you guys got going on, the OCAA in general? I'll leave the last word to you if you have anything.
No, I'm excited for what our season's going to be, and I'm looking forward to next year, and just following the protocols and what needs to happen.
Hopefully, we get some sort of season.
Yeah, I'm not privy to that information exactly, but I'm excited for whatever it is, and whatever it is, we'll be ready. So we just gotta keep working. Well,
I appreciate you coming on. It was a lot of fun. I know the video was a little choppy, but we made it through. We made it through for the most part. So really appreciate you coming on. Like I said, second time. Anytime you want to jump on, there's a spot here for you. We'll make it happen.
Yeah, thanks for having me. You have to record one in 2 minutes, so have fun with that.
That's true. Yeah, I got to jump from one to another, and I got to use the washroom in between. So it's supposed to be fun.
We got a lot of editing to do.
That's all right. I put it up as it is, so that's the way it goes. Oh yeah, I'm easy that way.
Oh, perfect.
I'm lazy.
All right,
Chris. Take care. All the best, and we'll do it again soon.
For sure. Take care.
Cheers. All right, Chris. Take care. All the best.